Hi, second graders. I'm so excited to introduce you to our new writing that we are going to be doing and working on. But it is not totally new because it's letter writing. And I'm sure you guys have written a letter before or gotten a letter before or just seen some letters before. So I want you to think about or maybe count on your hand if you have done, like you yourself have written these types of letters before. A persuasive letter. That's when you're trying to convince somebody to either do something or get you something. A thank you letter, maybe a thank you letter for a gift from some family members. I'm sorry notes, maybe to a friend if you're trying to apologize for something. Or letters to your grandparents or other family members like aunts and uncles and parents. Or maybe to your teachers and your friends or even your principal. So hopefully you were able to nod your head or raise your hand or give a thumbs up or count on your fingers how many of those letters you've done before, and hopefully you've done a few. On the screen there's a little example of an I'm sorry letter, a thank you letter, and just another letter. So hopefully these look familiar, and we're going to continue to learn more about letter writing. Okay. So one special letter that you guys have probably started to figure out is a letter about books, and it is one of my favorites, and it's probably going to be one of your favorites too, because usually people who like to read a lot and write like to do both. So today I want to teach you that writers who love stories, which is most writers, often write letters to each other about their favorite characters. One thing writers often do in these letters is explain their opinions about these characters. Okay, so one way to get started to writing a letter is by recalling your opinions you have about a character. So your opinion doesn't necessarily have to be always like, oh, my favorite, or the very best, or the one you like the most. It could be other things like you find certain characters to be the bad characters, or maybe the funny characters, or maybe you think that some characters are really important even if they had just a small part in the story, or maybe some characters aren't as important, or some characters are there to make you happy, and some characters are there to make you angry, and some characters are there to make you sad in the story, right? So your opinions can be anything. So you have to recall what your opinions might be about these characters. And then you can get started writing your letter to a friend about your opinion on those characters. So you guys have already learned about opinion writing from other grades. You probably learned this a little bit in first grade or kindergarten. So let's think about what you already know how to do as a writer. You know that you should probably introduce so the reader knows what you're talking about and what character you're talking about and in what book. So you kind of need to introduce the topic first. And also, you know, it's very important to include examples to explain your thinking and explain your reasoning. And maybe even more than one example is always important. Okay, so today you will try to write your own letter to a friend about your opinion, your thoughts, and your feelings. Again, that doesn't have to be just like, oh, he's my favorite because I like this. You guys can do more than that. You can think about all your different emotions and feelings on the characters you've met in books. And you can pick one character in one book to write a letter to a friend. It doesn't have to be a specific friend, or it can be to your teacher, or it can just be to your class. Or maybe it can just be to somebody at home. It doesn't really matter who it's to, but you're going to write it to somebody. And you're going to talk about your thoughts and feelings about the character in the book, your opinions. You should use a pencil and paper to begin your letter. Or if you're at home, you can type it, but try to be writing these words to form complete sentences and maybe try out the structure of a letter. Okay? So that is your activity for today. You can submit your work on the next page in this activity.